Hello friends and welcome back. If you're new here, hi, my name is Callie Bransford. Thank you for joining me. A little lesson that I have learned over probably the last 2 or 3 years is that if I kind of make myself in the constant state of cleaning up, I find it to be so much more manageable and I keep my house so much tidier. Sometimes it feels easier to just say like, I'll do that when I have more time, but I find that if I let cleaning tasks build up, it becomes this like huge mountain that I have to like overcome and I have to tackle, as opposed to just if I'm doing little things throughout the day, it is so much easier, it is so much more manageable, and it just helps me keep my house so much cleaner. Now don't get me wrong, my house is not like perfectly clean all the time, but I am somebody who just finds more peace in my house when things are just a little bit tidy and a little bit cleaned up, and I do get overwhelmed when cleaning tasks build up, and then that makes me more likely to not want to do them. And so I've adopted some cleaning habits over the last 2 or 3 years of my life that really just work. They really just help me like stay on top of keeping my house clean and tidy, so it's like no longer this thing that I find totally overwhelming. It's just something that I find I can like fit into my everyday life, and I want to share with you guys those 9 cleaning habits. Okay, so tip number 1 is to drink copious amounts of coffee so that you have lots of energy to clean. I'm just kidding, that is not tip number 1. Tip number 1 is to set up little routines for yourself. As people, we're very habit oriented. It's why like we remember to brush our teeth every night before bed, because we've just always done it. And I found that you can do the same thing with some cleaning tasks so that they just sort of happen naturally. So what you're gonna do is think of some cleaning tasks that you need to do every single day, and then you're gonna tie them to a routine or an activity or a habit that you already do every single day. A really easy trick to help you form new habits is to tie them to habits that already exist, because your brain is already sort of wired for that one habit, and then your brain will become accustomed to thinking about those 2 habits together. So let me give you an example. One thing that I've started doing is I always will sweep and Swiffer my floors right after my son finishes his breakfast. I do this every morning. It's just become part of our little morning habit and routine that we eat breakfast, we clean the floors, and then we go upstairs and get dressed. By tying sweeping the floors to my breakfast routine, I've made it super easy to adopt because I literally just like tied it to another habit that already existed. Also, another little bonus tip I'm gonna throw in, this is not a habit, but I recently purchased myself a little handheld like duster buster, and it changed my life. And if you're somebody who sweeps, like I have a robot vacuum that goes through the house, but I like to sweep every morning. Get rid of the dustpan. Like, why didn't somebody tell me this before? The little duster buster is so much more effective at cleaning up the little mess that you made from sweeping up. And a little mom tip, I'll try to throw in a few mom tips for those moms that are watching, and that is that I have cleaning activities I know I can do when my child is awake or around that he can sort of help me with, and so I'll tie those to routines or habits I do with him already. So one example that I shared was sweeping the floors. My son loves to help sweep the floors. He's not actually sweeping the floors. He uses this old duster to sweep. He literally knows every morning after breakfast, when I go to get the broom, he comes running over because he wants his duster and he helps me sweep. And it works great for me because he's preoccupied and he's busy while I'm sweeping and I'm getting the floors done. Okay, tip number 2 is to have cleaning lists by time. I think one reason, like I sort of mentioned earlier, that cleaning can sort of become overwhelming or we avoid it or it builds up is because we think to ourselves, well, I'll clean the bathroom when I have a free 45 minutes, but like it could be days or weeks before we have a free 45 minutes to deep clean the bathroom. So what I like doing is having little lists of small tasks that I can do in dedicated periods of time. So I actually have this free cleaning checklist printable. You can download it totally free on my website. I'll have the link down below in the description, and it has tons of cleaning tasks that you can tackle in either 10 minutes, 30 minutes, or 60 minutes. This way, if you have some free time, even if it's just 10 minutes, you can still get something cleaned or tidied. You don't need to feel like you have to have this like huge space of time before you can tackle a specific room or you can tidy the bedroom. Even if you only have 10 minutes, you can still do some work in that room. Tip number 3 is to focus on surfaces. There's something about having cleared off surfaces, flat surfaces in a space that just makes it feel cleaner and less cluttered. This little trick is sometimes called the flat surface clutter rule, and the idea is just to really only focus on clearing off clutter on the flat surfaces of a space. And I really like this because sometimes you can walk into a room and again feel overwhelmed by like the cleaning tasks. You look at it, you're like, I gotta do the floors, I gotta do the windows, and I gotta empty the counters, and I gotta wipe down the counters, and you sort of get this like long task, and instead of feeling empowered to do it, you feel really overwhelmed. So I love the little trick of like, okay, I'm just gonna focus on the flat surfaces. I've gotten into the habit of just constantly decluttering my surfaces. At least 3 times a day, I do a quick walkthrough of my entire downstairs with the ultimate goal of removing anything from a flat surface that doesn't need to be there. And I know that that can sound kind of daunting. You're like, 3 times a day you want me to go through and declutter, but I'm telling you that as you start that habit, your clutter becomes so much more minimal because you are constantly doing it, that I would say at most it takes me 2 minutes to do it. Of course, I do have a smaller house, and that is one perk of a smaller house. If you have a larger house, then break it into sections, or really just focus on your main living spaces, such as like the living room and the kitchen. And the goal is to get all of the flat surfaces completely clear. It's not about making tidy little piles and sort of like moving your tidy piles around, because this is like a mistake I totally used to make. I used to be in such a bad habit of having little piles or leaving things out because I was gonna use it later or I was gonna get to it tomorrow. But I've actually found that it takes literally less than 60 seconds to put something away where it goes, and it makes my surfaces nice and clear, and then when I need it, I can just grab it. Okay, tip number 4 is kind of going off the last tip, and that is to get better about letting things go, specifically getting things out of your house that you do not need or do not need to be there. In general, stuff breeds more stuff, and clutter breeds more clutter. And there's so many times that we keep things in our house because we're gonna use it later, or we just need to fix it, or we keep it on the counter because, you know, we're gonna craft with it tomorrow. So I've tried to really get good about the habit of like being super intentional about looking at the stuff that's in my house, and if it doesn't need to be there, immediately getting rid of it, or immediately filing it away where it needs to go, and constantly be thinking like, do I actually need this? And if I don't, trash it, donate it, recycle it. Okay, so let me give you a couple examples to sort of explain this a little further. Raise your hand if you have ever opened like a box from something that you got from online shopping, and then the box sits on the floor for 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 days before you even like think about breaking it down or throwing it out, because guilty. A small shift that I have started adopting is the minute I get a package, I open it, I put the product that I have purchased away where it needs to go, and I break down the box and I put it by the back door. And that way the next time I go out the back door, which because I have a toddler and a dog is 45 times a day at least, I can just take it out to the recycling or put it in the garage if it's a bigger box that needs to go to the dump. And it's just like, again, it's that constant state of like cleaning, the constant state of getting stuff out of my house that doesn't need to be there. The boxes don't pile up, and they're sort of always on, they're always just like on their way to where they need to be. Okay, habit number 5 is never go to bed with a dirty kitchen sink. This is actually one of the very first cleaning habits I ever adopted, probably like 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. I don't know, I'm getting old and all the years just mixed together, but it's literally like one of the first cleaning habits I ever adopted, and I realized how powerful cleaning habits can be to keeping your house clean. So the idea here, again, is just that you never go to bed with your kitchen sink dirty, because at the end of the day, we're tired, we just want to go upstairs, we want to get in bed, and I have that one little rule that I can't go upstairs until my kitchen sink is clean. It's not an overwhelming task. Even if I'm really tired, I'm like, okay, I can clean the kitchen sink. It's only gonna take, tops 10 minutes. But what I find is that usually once I'm in the kitchen and I'm cleaning whatever is left in the sink, if I haven't done it already, it tends to lead to a little bit more tidying. I tend to wipe down any counters that haven't been wiped down, or put away any food that I forgot to put away. And the reason this habit has worked so well for me and has helped me adopt other cleaning habits is because I found there is literally nothing worse than walking down in the morning to a dirty kitchen. And there's literally nothing better in the world than walking down in the morning to a nice tidy kitchen to start your morning. And so I've kind of found, it's this little thing I do at night that makes my morning better. A little joke that you've probably heard me say before is like, I like to think of things that today Callie can do that'll make tomorrow Callie's day a little bit better, and like having a tidy kitchen is one of those things. Okay, habit number 6 is because my dirty kitchen sink habit worked so well, I also have adopted the 15-minute pre-bed cleanup. Now this doesn't actually have to be right before bed, I just call it the pre-bed cleanup. Usually I do it right after my son goes to bed, but the idea is that it's just 15 minutes of cleaning up. 15 minutes is like not a lot of time. You can set a timer on your phone. It feels totally doable. It's not overwhelming, but it's just 15 minutes of like getting the house picked up, whatever it is that's laying out that needs to be picked up. If you have older kids, this can be something you guys all do together after dinner. Everyone just picks up for 15 minutes and it helps you sort of tackle any little tasks that may be laying around for the day. Okay, tip number 7 is to think about setting up some smart solutions in your home to answer like the biggest cleaning or like clutter problems that you have in your house. I'm gonna link 2 organization videos down below that I think will help out a lot. It's just little organization things that I've done in my home, really at the end of the day with the goal of everything having a place where it lives to help keep things more organized. Because I find that when we're in the state of like constantly cleaning, you really need to have like everything needs to have a place that it belongs and everything needs to have a place that it goes. So you need to sort of set up these smart solutions in your house so that everything has a place. Okay, habit number 8 that I've gotten really good about is to get in the habit of cleaning as you go when you're cooking. Like I said earlier in this video, I feel like a clean kitchen helps lead to a clean house. And obviously our kitchens get the messiest when we are cooking. I have found that if I kind of am constantly, again, it's sort of the same idea of like constantly being in the state of cleaning, but if I'm constantly cleaning as I'm cooking, I'm not just like making a big mess and then trying to clean it up all at the end. It makes keeping the kitchen tidy so much easier. Okay, my very final tip, number 9, is to give yourself little treats. We're all about positive reinforcement, and I'm one of those people that like, I love to give myself little rewards when I've done things good. After I put my son down for a nap, the first thing I do is I come down and I do a quick 10-minute cleanup in the kitchen. My reward for that is that I always get to make myself my little iced coffee afternoon drink that I have every single day, and it's my little reward. So like I might come down the stairs, I'm like, oh, I don't really want to do 10 minutes of cleaning. I just spent 6 hours entertaining my child, but like I know that I get to have my little coffee drink afterwards, and it's just like a little reward. I know it seems silly, but having little rewards for yourself totally can help. So think of like the couple of tasks that you dread doing, and then think of like what reward you can put at the end of them to sort of motivate yourself. All right, my friends, that does it. Those are the 9 habits that I have adopted that really help me keep my house in general, help me keep it more tidy, help cleaning tasks not build up so that I'm feeling totally overwhelmed by what needs to get done. Again, like I said, my house is not always perfectly clean, but it just helps keep things tidier and so much more manageable. Again, I have that free cleaning checklist printable that I'm gonna put down below. As always, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I hope you are having a fantastic day, and I will see you all in my next video.